Yeah, there was some guy here from Miles Juergens looking for you. They need sparring partners for Apollo Creed.
Put me on.
Here's the car.
When was they here?
About an hour ago.
They'll probably look for sparring partners for Creed, you know?
I said that before, you dumb dago!
You know, I've been coming in for 6 years, and 6 years you've been sticking it to me. I want to know how come.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, I want to know how come.
You want to know?
I want to know how!
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Because you had the talent to become a good fighter. And instead of that, you became a leg breaker. Some cheap, second-rate loan shark.
It's a living?
It's a waste of life.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Oh, we're doing pretty well. We're in that post-Christmas void. And I just have one thing to say as we get out of our holiday episodes. I gotta say, this podcast, it stinks in here. It stinks in here. Yeah, we finished up our episodes of Festivus. But we decided that we weren't quite done with the holidays just yet. We had an additional week, and we wanted to do a little New Year's episode for it.
Well, we usually do.
We tried to. Remember that one year when we did Ghost Keeper?
The only New Year's one that I can think of that was really good was New Year's Evil. I think was
yeah, of course.
It was the only one that was, okay. And I was going to say Trading Places, but we did that for Christmas.
Yeah, we did.
So,
yeah.
So.
And like I said, yeah, we did Ghost Keeper one year, and it's now getting a new, I think it's a 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome that is coming up very soon. I think their January releases has that one slated, which I thought was interesting. Because when we did it, I don't think we didn't have great things to say about that movie. It's a kind of a middling slasher film.
Listen, I'm scrolling through our library now to see if I can even remember.
It was about they were at this abandoned hotel or abandoned ski resort or something that they stay at.
Is that the Canadian one?
Yeah.
Oh God, no! I see it now.
You really didn't like that one.
Yeah, well, because it was fucking terrible.
Well, it's getting a new release. So people can spend $40 on the 4K.
And, especially after following up strong Festivus series where we did Trading Places on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Home Alone 2, and the Santa Clauses are second TV review.
Mm-hmm.
It was
disappointed.
Just a big turd in my stocking,
Right.
Santa left something a little extra. Aww.
Hopefully, we don't have that this year.
I would say all I remember, I remember being Canadian, bad, and a very bad Shining.
Yeah, a little bit like that too. Yeah. Well, this year we got something a little bit different. Honestly, we could have done this movie within the entire frame of the holidays, from Thanksgiving through Christmas. But we decided that it was most appropriate to do it for New Year's because that's the main crux of the whole proceedings of the movie leading up to the conclusion is New Year's Day. So it just made sense. But like I said, the movie, has Thanksgiving in it, has Christmas in it. Could have been any number. But our New Year's episode this year is the illustrious Rocky. Which again, we've never touched. Never touched anything in the series. We've never, not really done anything similar either with boxing movies. And honestly, I'd never seen it myself. There's one, glaring omission in my filmography. Watching is I've never seen Rocky before. So,
which is a well-known fun fact if you're a regular listener.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, is a cultural film. It's obviously important. It's probably one of those movies that people recommend of like the 1,000 movies you see before you die, something like that, I'm guessing. And yeah, for whatever reason, just never really ventured out to see it. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm not like a huge fan of these types of like sports creation stories that they would do, and we did the Iron Claw on here too, which is, I guess, kind of similar in some respects to something like Rocky. But I'm not a huge fan of those types of like, setting the, or I guess they would be more like now, especially with the Iron Claw, being more like biopics kind of.
Well, this is not biopic. Though.
Right. No, I know. But I guess I'm saying like, I've never really been a huge fan of that stuff. So
I think, I mean, it is like a sports movie, but I would say it's
more of a character study, really.
Yes, it's definitely like more like that's a part of the story. It's not like the crux. It's not like Remember the Titans, where the whole thing is,
football.
It's early 70s down in the South. White kids got to integrate with the black kids on the football field. And they have mixed feelings, but at the end of the day, learn friendship and how to win.
Mixed feelings around mixed races. That should have been the slogan for that movie.
That's what Hayden Panettiere was saying at like 10 years old when she was in the movie, like on the red carpet. Disney told me to say this.
Well, you've seen Rocky though, right?
Billion times.
Yeah, this is not.
I'm a big Rocky fan.
You're a big franchise fan or a big Rocky fan?
Both.
Okay.
So here's the thing, especially now that we're dipping into it, we're gonna have to do all the films. Sure. It's just tradition.
Eventually.
We're not gonna. We're not doing like a Rocky-a-thon. But like, I am a big fan of the Rocky movies. Especially the first two. Rocky 1 and 2 are great. Like actual great films. The rest of them, I haven't even seen any of the Creeds just because it's like I am fatigued out from franchises being revived from the dead. And Rocky Balboa is like the same thing too. Rocky 6, because that came out like 08 or 09, and it was when Sly was on his like, I gotta do every classic film that I've ever done. I gotta do like a sequel to it, like 'cause Rambo came out at the same time too. But like 3 through 5 are fun enough. A lot of people like Rocky 4 a lot. But they're just like, it's like Rambo. It's like First Blood, you have this deep character story. And then the sequels just go right off the fucking rails into nonsense land. Like when we do get to Rocky 4 eventually, like the biggest sin of that movie, is fun and stupid as it is, like, Rocky versus Ivan Drago, the Soviet, I must break you. It's like 140-minute film. 120 minutes are literally fucking montages. Like, it's
it's like the Silent Night, Deadly Night montage, the movie.
Yeah,
that they made,
like
it was
it's
actually a movie.
It's just ridiculous. It's fun, like I said, but like they're not good films. Same thing with like Rocky 3, like Mr. T. It's all silly. But
Rocky
and Rocky 2 are great. Rocky 2's
you're a big fan of.
Yes.
Good to know.
So wait to see what I give this review.
All right. Well, it's interesting foreshadowing here. I guess we'll find out later as we get into the show. But all right. Well, that's a good place to pause and take a break and talk about the beer that we have on the show today. I actually was out and about, and I decided, you know what? Let's go grab a beer. And I went with one that I've always seen in stores and have been curious about, but just for whatever reason, just never really felt the desire to buy one. And so I think I just decided this time, not only is it a good time to try this beer out, but the beer itself looks very kind of New Year's-esque with the gold foil wrapping and, the kind of the classic, classy bottle. So I was like, you know what? This is kind of a nice little New Year's related beer. So the brewery that I'm talking about is Samuel Smith. And I might have had one maybe once before, but this is always one that I see the bottles in the store and I'm like, interesting ideas and, very classic looking English style ales, but I've just never really gone out of my way to get one. So here I got the Samuel Smith Tadcaster, their famous Taddy Porter. Again, which I've never had and thought it would be a good place to start. And like I said, the gold foil wrapping on it. I guess does this make 2 beers in a row that we've had like
yes.
annoying foil wrapping on thing? Not that I'm saying that the gold wrapping is tacky or anything on this beer, but again, the champagne style, like have to unwrap, before you can even get your bottle opener on the bottle cap. A little bit annoying sometimes. I'll let you go first. What do you think? Because again, you're not like a huge stout guy or a porter guy, so I'm curious to know what you think about this English style porter. What do you think about the Taddy Porter?
Well, I do like porters. More so than stouts, just because they don't usually get barraged into the ground with
adjunct-y stuff.
That and bourbon, barrel aging
stuff.
and all that.
Yeah.
So on its own, this is a very delightful porter. It's got a nice breadiness to it, nice full body. Definitely like dark chocolate. Get a lot of nice notes, dark chocolate. Very smooth, easy to drink. I like this a lot. Perfect for the cold, miserable months that are ahead right now. So,
have you had a lot of Samuel Smith beers?
No. In fact, I think this is the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Even seeing them. So, nice find. The tinfoil, aluminum top. Get rid of that.
Just that classiness.
It's just not needed. It's not like Sam's Utopias or anything. It's
sure. Yeah.
But no, I like it a lot. I would definitely try it some more. It's as simple and basic of a porter you can get, but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think this Taddy Porter is really solid. It's again, with the Samuel Smith line, I don't think they make a ton of different styles of beer. I do know that they often make porter and stout styles. I think they have a couple different stouts, but overall, I think that this is a really fine English style porter. It does what it sets out to do. Very traditional porter style, very nice heavy malt base to it. Very subtle hints of chocolate, but not like overwhelmingly chocolatey, like if you would call it a chocolate stout or anything like that. It's just very mild. A little bit of a caramel element to it as well to give it that mouthfeel and, refinement on the palate. Overall, just very drinkable, very sessionable, I would say. You would think sometimes with it being so dark, people a lot of times think like, oh, well, they're not really that drinkable. I would say that this one doesn't feel heavy. It just feels, it's still got a nice body to it, but it's not super heavy. I like it a lot. And I like the traditional bottle style on it. I think that makes it kind of stand out from others that are trying to, be more modernistic. I think this one is just, presenting itself as a very classic traditional style pub ale. And I like that a lot. So I would definitely check this out more. I don't know why I've not gone through the Samuel Smith lineup before, but I think I should start because I like this one. All right. Let's talk Rocky. Where do we want to begin? Do we begin at the beginning? I think,
you know what? I think we might have to begin 54 minutes into the film.
Yeah. Was 54 minutes in?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. Thought you had some chapter break in mind. But...
No. Because you know what? Film's so good, you don't need to check the runtime.
That's true. Yeah. It's, abbreviated 2 hours. Let's get into that a little bit. First, I guess, we should start with the beginning fight. I mean, so the opening of the movie really starts out with one of the two main fights of Rocky, because again, like we were talking about before, Rocky is overall a very character-driven study of the titular character. I mean, that makes sense. It's called Rocky. It's a study of Rocky. It's not generally about the fights themselves, which is something that I think sets this movie off from some of the films that we might see coming out more recently, or even the sequels in the franchise, that they were, obviously at a certain point, if you're going to do sequels, you can't just keep reiterating the same themes about Rocky the character. But this movie...
Sure? Hold on, are you sure about that? Because haven't you said basically The Walking Dead did that for seasons of...
That is true.
For
better or worse, Well, and then the other thing with The Walking Dead was it would have to constantly modify their character. Like Carol is a good example of a character in The Walking Dead who had to constantly be like, oh, she's kind of like a wimpy character. Oh no, now she's, boss Carol. Oh, now she's like a little bit afraid to kill people again. Oh, now she's killing everybody, just storming a camp. And it has to keep going back and forth. So yeah, the other side of that, if you try to keep character studying this, specific character, you constantly have to have them be altered in some way to make it any interesting. So
see, I was gonna say that's the fun too, because I've been slowly replaying the Walking Dead Telltale games.
Yeah.
Because they were on sale around Halloween, for the whole bundle for $5. And then I'm on the third one. And basically it's 3 years into the outbreak, so everyone at this point isn't like, oh, I gotta do what now? They're all just like, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's nice. Like everyone's not acting all
scared and not able to do anything. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I think for, like I said, for Rocky's characteristics, this movie is really specifically, this would be almost like what you would think of as a prequel now, because it is very much setting up the whole idea of Rocky as a character, as a human, his likes, his dislikes. The film spends a lot of time with Sylvester Stallone just loving turtles and fish and just talking to his fish like, hey, fishy.
Hey, yo, Moby Dick.
Yeah. And I think
the problem with that though, in hindsight being 2020, the film is that, but again, the tone of this film, and it's nothing against this film or anything, but like I said, the tone is so Rocky 2 is still at least close enough to the first film, but the rest of them are so tone deaf, you'd watch Rocky 4 and you'd be like, that man never, the way, Sylvester Stallone looks and that, lifting and stuff and all that, you'd be like, that man never smoked a cigarette in his life. And here in this movie, after having a fight, he goes in the locker, bums a cigarette from a fan in the crowd, and he's smoking heaters like he's Jim Leland, and having a beer, and it's it's a great great set only the 70s could get away with that kind of shit, and it's just so great. And that's one of the, like I said, one of the things that kind of for the franchise, at least, for me, is one of the things that I find to be disheartening, because basically by the third film and on, he's Superman.
Right. The inconsistencies in the way that they present him. Yeah. I mean, I like the whole character study though, because I think again, and like you said, I think the 70s is able to present this style of sort of gritty city life that this film gets very accurate in the way that it's set in Philadelphia 70s, very city element, like a lot of some of similar to the other vigilante type movies that we've covered set in a 70s city. It gets that like grittiness, the griminess, Rocky's apartment being like very run down, filled with like just detritus and stuff like that. It gets that like kind of grimy stuff right that you don't really see as much anymore, or you can't really mimic because it was just a particular time period that maybe nostalgia too of just watching those types of movies. But
imagine Scream 6 instead of their New York big ass loft apartment that 20 of them are in, like them crammed in like a real apartment like that, where
or like we the I Know What You Did Last Summer remake too, where it's like, you want gritty atmospheres? No, we've got like this gigantic mansion that we're gonna like rich person mansion. I mean, I love that. I think that the whole city life, the grittiness of the city life gives this film its own character as well. It has a certain atmosphere to it. There's a certain like element of bringing like the working class man into the picture, which is something that I think carries some weight in Rocky, that there's this distinct there's stakes, right, for Rocky, because the stakes for him is that like he's kind of set his life in this such a situation where he's a boxer and he does some light loan shark duties on the side, beating people up for money because they haven't paid their loan shark. And this is his life, and it's this kind of like a small time life, and he's never really made it big as a boxer, but he loves the sport, and it's kind of something that he just embroiled in, whether it makes him money or not. And I think like that's a really key part of the movie, is that he has very little, there's no room for error if he messes up his life with boxing, and he gets roped into this bicentennial fight with Apollo Creed, who is already a star leading boxer, and he's a champion. He has
world
a lot
heavyweight
of money behind him. Yeah,
he's the world heavyweight champion.
He's got a lot of money behind him. He's got great advertising. He's got a kick-ass manager leading the whole thing, and so there's really for him, this fight is sort of like, I spent a lot of money on it, and basically that's about it. Like, it's a bicentennial fight. It's a show for him. But for Rocky, when he gets pulled into it, like there's a lot of stakes involved that I think the film does a really good job of showcasing that anxiety, especially later on in the movie, where he starts to be like, well, this is kind of a big deal now, and I'm really afraid what happens if I lose this match, like, or if I don't do very well. I think that's a great part of the movie of showcasing like the stakes for the working man versus, someone who's already made it and they don't really need to worry about whether they're going to win or lose the fight. It's more of a show.
Yeah. And we get to see too, because originally Creed was supposed to fight a different boxer, but he wasn't able to make the fight. They couldn't get any pros to fight. And so, Creed comes up with the idea, it's New Year's Eve. It's the 200th anniversary of America. Let's give Philadelphia, one of Philadelphia's local boys a shot, So, it's all about the showmanship and, getting people into the gate and making an attraction. Again, I think it's like not like a big part of the film, but that whole like promotion, like actually having a promoter showing like, that carnival, like that carny, instinct of like the sport, because pro wrestling's the same way too. They had territories, they had promoters, would do the same kind of stuff. It's the same same thing in boxing too. So it's nice to see, you gotta drum up as much interest to get people to come and pay to go to the show and get a good gate. And like that Rocky didn't do anything to get picked. He did nothing spectacular. They were just thumbing through the books and, looking for people and, just
they saw
looking and
his nickname.
yeah. And then Creed sees the name. I like that. The Italians, and I love too the way that fucking Carl Weathers says Italian. He's like, Italian.
I love that. Italian stallion. Sounds like a monster movie. Apollo Creed versus the
country was founded by Italians, right? An Italian, right? I'm gonna love this then when I go and beat one of them up.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess what do you think about that? Because the movies, some of the themes of the movie, in particular, are the idea of opportunity, right? Rocky's opportunity being an opportunity to fight in this bicentennial fight and kind of put his name on a poster and get his name up in lights, and I think one of the funniest things, well, not funny, I guess it's more like it's almost kind of sad when he sees it, is when he goes into the ring right before he's going to fight, and he sees the poster, and it's him on the poster, but they got his shorts color wrong. He always fights in white shorts with a red stripe, and they've got red shorts with a white stripe. He's like, you got my shorts wrong.
So, fun fact, that was an accident.
Yeah, they printed the poster wrong and
the property. Yeah, same thing too with his overly baggy robe. Like stuff. It was like they couldn't because the film was technically like kind of low budget. Like it had an under $1 million budget. Which isn't bad, but like low. But I mean. But like it's fun, like little things like that. They're like, shit, we got this rope to be too big. Hey, don't worry. Look, I'll say a quick little funny line about it, and we can tack it up and like just being creative like that. Like, because now it'd be like, just CGI fix, boop, 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 and But then like, it's charming.
Yeah, it adds a lot of weight to it. Actually, it adds even more weight to the fact that like here's Rocky. Unknown dude from before gets called up for to fight Apollo Creed, and for Apollo Creed this is like a shit show. He doesn't really care too much about the actual fight itself. It's more about the publicity. For Rocky, it's all about being known because he's his career is basically done as a boxer besides this. And they didn't even get his shorts right. They couldn't even get like the characteristic about him fighting that people would recognize. So I think it's really, like whether it was written in or if it was trivia that they accidentally got it wrong, it's still a great inclusion. And I think it adds a lot of weight to the proceedings of the movie that it even weighs on him more that this fight is super important for him to like make a show of it. Because if he comes in and he gets beat up in 2 rounds, like, that's pretty embarrassing all around. So I like that a lot. I think the movie has a lot of great little stuff like that. Like you just pointed out, like the whole point about how Rocky's kind of obsessed with the robe being a little bit too big. And but like there's a lot of moments like that. And this movie was written by Sylvester Stallone. And he has a lot of really insightful dialogue that occurs that you might take at face value at first, but then you kind of like really look at the dialogue and you think about it a little bit. And it's actually, besides, just being part of the story, it has some really pointed and great turns of phrase in it too, that I think works really well in this movie.
I think like it's a small thing, but like one of the things I do love about like the way, Sly, wrote the film and stuff is like we, see him throughout the film, like as he's trying to, woo Adrian, when he finally, gets her to be his girlfriend, and people are saying things that on the TV that, for the fight, Creed's making fun of him and, making, not bad jokes, but like snide, like, little jabs, and Rocky's like, I don't care. And Adrian and Paulie are like, hey, come on, like, you should care or whatever. And then he's like, no, it's no big deal. And then once he's outside just talking to Adrian alone, he's getting ready to leave. He's like, oh, yeah, the stuff that you were saying about me, yeah, that hurts. That hurt. And the same thing, too, at the end, before the fight, when he's sitting on the bed and he's like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. He's the greatest, and nothing, and I don't stand the chance. The only one thing I want to be able to do is I just want to be able to go the distance with him, because no one's ever gone the distance, and at least do that. No, I didn't give up, but I tried my best. And him just like showing that vulnerability, because it's like I mean, I don't know how intentional it is. Like, maybe Sylvester is just writing it to be like, character building, but I saw like the moments like that of like, especially today, like kind of shows like how there's a lot of toxic masculinity in this film, especially
Sure.
with him being like a leg breaker for the mafia and all that shit. It just show that the only time that he can feel like he could show any vulnerability is when he's with her,
Sure.
which I'm sure back then was probably a lot, for a lot of men, who couldn't, show any weakness. Otherwise, you're a pussy. And probably the only confident, the only reason it's like the only reason I'm gonna get a wife or a girlfriend is to have sex, get cooking, and have somebody to cry, cry on his shoulder, because I can't do it in front of the boys, at the meat plant or down at the docks, So I mean, like just like it's like just really nuanced, smart, but it's not like this like gigantic albatross of like being talked down to. It's really just really good like character writing and development and dialogue.
Yeah,
So.
I think it has a lot of good moments of the relationships with all the characters within the movie, because a lot of times the movie really relies on the dialogue between characters throughout, and these kind of real dialogues and conversations that Rocky has with others to get the point across. And I think you're right. Like, a lot of times Rocky does not show vulnerability. There's a lot of bravado that he is kind of forced to put on, maybe to promote himself, because he is his only promoter for, the majority of his career. He's been his own manager, and really hasn't gotten him that far. And so I think there's a lot of truth to the fact that he has to put on this bravado to really succeed as a boxer and get any jobs at all fighting. And I
was going to say, sorry, but that's like also a great point I didn't even think about, because again, the whole part where he's like yelling like at Mick after Mick leaves, like we see him before, Mick opened the door and then closed it because he forgot his hat, and then Rocky peeked out of the bathroom thinking he left and closed it, and then it happened again, and then he sees like, oh, Mick left, and that's when he starts, yelling about like, where the fuck were you? Where the hell were you 10 years ago when I needed you? You never helped me. You didn't care. Like, he's just venting out his frustrations and anger and his, vulnerability, into the air, as you see Mick slowly walking away, And,
yeah, it's great. They're great moments. They're great, like, little insights into Rocky as a person. I think that, again, people coming into Rocky probably, especially now, expect Rocky to be a movie about boxing. And I think that the movie has actually, it only really has like 15 minutes of actual boxing, like throughout the whole thing. I mean, there's training and a lot of people also recognize Rocky for its training montages, specifically, running up the steps in Philadelphia. And, but ultimately, those are really short moments in a film, a 2-hour film that's otherwise devoted to character relationship between people. And I brought up the idea of opportunity, and I think Paulie is another good example of a person who is always looking for opportunity and really trying to get out of this lifestyle that he's living in, because again, Paulie is Adrian's brother. They're living together.
Rocky's friend.
Right, yeah, Rocky's friend. He is 32 years young, looking, just joking about that. But, in some of these movies, sometimes you see guys like Paulie, and looks in this movie, he's like balding. He's got like gray hair and a beard, and they're like, yeah, he's only 32 years old. He's lived a tough life. But
The way he's pounding Schlitz in this movie.
he really was only 36 years old at the time. I mean, so he was my age and definitely looked, I want to say he looked like 20 years older than I do.
I was gonna say
least.
the Schlitz and whatever like alcohol he kept in his pocket. He had like some, sipper that he was, constantly poking out in his, cig. So
I mean, I think that's like, again, he's another good example and sort of like a foil to Rocky of like what happens if you don't make something of yourself as a boxer. Like, well, you might be turn out like Paulie, and has a job that he fucking hates and is like very manual labor, and you basically ended up getting shit faced every night, coming home and living with your sister. And I think that there's this whole idea of like, will Rocky even talk to his loan shark guy, Gazzo, who is not really. I mean, he seems like kind of a guy rooting for Rocky. He's in his corner, right? Like he shows up to the fight. He gives him like money every now and then. He's like, here's the $50. Here's for a trainer, go get some good slacks. And what does Rocky do? Have runs in Converse.
Listen, that was pretty top foot equipment for the 70s. Was a pair of Chuck T's. But it's also funny too. I want to see the aftermath of like, Gazzo gave him the $500, for training and stuff, and for after the fight, because he knew he was getting paid $150,000 for the fight. Just like showing up, like, so after the fight and the fee, you owe me for loaning the money out to you. Loan? I thought you were giving it to me. No.
There's a little bit of interest on that. Yeah,
got like 700%.
Thought about that too, but like, the movie actually makes Gazzo out to be a pretty good. Like he doesn't even like when Rocky at the beginning and he's supposed to break that dude's thumb and he doesn't break his thumb. And Gazzo's like, man, you got to be breaking these people's thumbs when I tell you to break the thumbs. I mean, if you don't break the thumbs, then I look like an idiot. And, these people don't get scared anymore. But he doesn't do anything about it. He's just kind of like, Rocky's Rocky. He's my friend. He's my buddy. So, like, I do think it's funny, though, that there's this back and forth between Rocky and Paulie. And it's sort of like the Rocky part of their relationship that Rocky will not talk to Gazzo to get Paulie a job. And it maybe is probably in his eyes for the best for Paulie, because he's probably not going to be good at it for one thing.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Paulie would be a fucking horrible, collector for a loan shark, showing up drunk, like I'll break your thumbs, throw it up.
So it's like twofold. It's like Rocky knows he wouldn't be good at it. He's trying to protect his friend from getting into a bad situation, and I think like again, it's sort of the foil for Rocky to know like, well, this is a possibility if I'm not a good boxer. So. It like spurns him on to like, maybe do a better job and, pound those 5 eggs in the morning when you're, when you're really not feeling like it at 4 a.m. It should be a commercial for Folgers instead of, coffee. They say, when you wake up, pound 5 eggs in the morning.
Listen, how dare you?
Get you going.
Don't ever call Folgers coffee.
What do you think about the relationship between Rocky and Adrian? We haven't talked about it. It's like one of the biggest, points of the movie. What do you think?
It's a love that can only start in the 70s.
You think so?
Well, because the fact that he's just like showing up.
Man showing up at your work basically unasked every day.
And you can see that she's, vexed and anxious about it. But back then they just called her a bitch.
Yeah.
She's just shy. She's shy. She's just a shut-in,
Like
a shut.
Later on, you see her talking to her boss, like, I don't know, he just keeps showing up. Can't you do something about it? It's like, we don't have money for security here at this pet store. Just deal with them.
Go clean the goddamn cat cages out, Adrian.
But you're right. I mean,
if I hear you, bitch, one more time, you're gonna be dealing with the fucking cat litter.
You're right. It is. But creepy with how Rocky shows up all the time, literally day after day, just coming into the pet store like, hey, there's a you see this parakeet over here? And my wife was saying that too. She was like, especially when he corners her in his apartment that time when she's like, I think I better leave now. And he's like, you're not going anywhere. He like double locks the door. Puts his, his beefy arm that is, he's taken off his shirt. He's only got a wife beater on underneath. And he puts his arm by the door. Like, please don't leave, Adrian. So it's almost like it's like it's suggested, implied that you better not leave. Because something might happen to you otherwise. But
hey, you need Dennis Reynolds. I mean, she's not going to leave. Obviously, we're on a boat, and she's going to have sex because of the implication. What are you talking about? Because if she sees my apartment, the way it looks, all this shit here and cockroaches and stuff, the neighborhood I live in, she's not going to say no to sex. Why would she say no to sex? Because of the implication. Let's say that and the whole I'm gonna kiss you now. You don't have to kiss me, I'm
gonna kiss you. You don't have to kiss me. Yeah. I don't know.
But
I
she found love.
She did, and not only that, she has to be nearsighted the rest of her life because when the moment he took the glasses off and found her attractive, she was like, "I'm never going back to the glasses."
Yeah, they don't mention contacts. They don't mention contacts or nothing. One, she looks. This is again one of the things. I hate it that in a lot of these movies they treat poor Tally Shire like she's the, just some
troll,
trollish looking woman. Like she's just a delightfully cute little Italian lady. She's Jason Schwartzman's mom.
Yep.
So it's funny. She's wearing all she has is glasses and her hair's kind of cut short, and they're like. She's either a cat lady or a dyke. I don't know, so what's going on here? And that, and fucking Paulie, listen, I can get behind Paulie's therapy methods and ways, instead of take some Zoloft, go see a therapist. You're a goddamn loser and you're making me look bad. Stop being such a goddamn loser. Yeah. You need to go out and have fun.
You know what?
Have fun. Live your life. And then she does it, and what happens? You're a whore.
I appreciate his, the shut-in syndrome that she has, the agoraphobia. And he's like, you know how you deal with that? You eat a turkey out the door, You just fucking, you want a turkey Thanksgiving? Oh, it's out the door now.
Well, that is funny, too. She's like, go out with Rocky, and because she tells Rocky, she knows you're coming over Thanksgiving. She's so excited. She has no fucking clue, and just blindsided. And then he's like, go out with him. Why won't you go out with him? Well, I can't, Paulie. Why not? It's Thanksgiving. She sounds like Edith, and oh, there's a turkey in the oven. If you'd think he'd be like. No, it's in the oven. Don't worry, I'll watch it. It'll be fine. No, grabs that thing and
bare hands it. Oven roasted turkey. Just that in the
yeets it into the fucking alleyway. He's like, you want the bird so much? Go out there and fucking eat it.
Yeah, it's great. It's just hilarious. It's like, I don't know if I've never experienced this, but maybe that's the city, family dynamic that people have in Philadelphia. Is there are people in the other apartment are like, oh, he's throwing the turkey out again. Every year, every Thanksgiving, he throws a turkey out the door.
Well, that was back. Listen, that was back when the instant mashed potatoes cost more than a 50-pound turkey. So, what's Paulie care
in that scene? He has the turkey leg or the turkey wing in his hand, and he just keeps hitting Rocky on the leather jacket with the turkey leg. If I was right, stop touching me with the fucking turkey leg. Stop touching my jacket with the turkey leg. It's a leather jacket, okay? You can't be touching me with a turkey leg.
You got giblets all over my fucking jacket.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of endearingness to the endearing qualities to the way that the characters are written, and especially to how Sly plays Rocky. I think like you said, this film is pretty low budget, so it really, relatively low budget. So it really runs on the fact that it doesn't have a lot of money to spend on, settings or, decorations or, stuff like that. So what it does do is just kind of sets itself in the gritty realism of the environment. And they probably didn't have to pay for any of that, right? It was just, there was no set decoration or, go into studio. That was probably just somebody's apartment that they had. that needed a lot of work, and they were like, "That's a perfect place to shoot." I like that a lot. But yeah, again, I guess. What do you think? Like, do you think the film's ending with Adrian is earned as they get to the end, and Rocky's like, "Well, I just went 15 rounds, but you know who I want? Adrian."
Well, we know why, because after Paulie keeps bugging Rocky and being like, "You fucking my sister, you fucking my sister," he's like, "You broke my sister. Now she's a whore." They go to Rocky's house, and she's like, wants to steal his man seed, and he's like, "No, can't do it."
He's had to abstain until the end of his training.
And not only that, you got Mickey. "Stay away from women. They'll make your legs weak, Rock." So he's just bricked up for 5 weeks. He's just
like, "All right, let's do it. Let's go."
That's why in the second film she has triplets, because he's like,
there you go. Yeah. It was from that abstaining that it's just like all.
He did the Will Ferrell and Step Brothers, like, "I traveled 500 miles to give you my seed."
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's earned. Like, I definitely think, I mean, the courtship is weird and goofy, but I mean, they're both weird, goofy characters.
Sure.
Rocky is a fucking idiot.
As he says.
But I mean, he really is a fucking idiot, because he's, I mean, like, just hopping around, doing little fucking, shadow boxing while he's walking all the time and this stuff. And, you can tell him by the way he talks and the fact that he's like, "Hey, how you spell Del Rio?" That he's, not the brightest bulb.
Yep.
And then that Tally Shire's got anxiety and the sadness, and, as Rocky says, like, "Yeah, we fill the gaps, That's, not, like, good." And, like, it does end up, their chemistry does, once, Adrian starts opening up and becoming more relaxed and comfortable with being with Rocky,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's nice too. It works. It's a nice recap to the fight.
Rocky didn't hear from from dating advice, like, don't talk too much about yourself. Like, "Hey, yo, I got every fight. I fought this guy, I fought that guy. Here's a picture of me fighting. I don't know, it's me fighting and It's fucking hilarious. The other funny thing, though, too, speaking of, like, the fighting stuff, is Rocky was, when he's talking to her, he's like, "Yeah, better than 68 fights, 148, lost 20, some knockout." And he goes, "I got all these cuts and stuff, but never once. You see my nose? Never been broken. Never taken all those shots to the face. Never been broken." What's the first thing fucking Apollo does? Breaks his goddamn nose.
Popped him right in it. Yeah. And I guess speaking of that, like, how do you feel about the fight? Like, because the fight, pretty significant portion of the finale, probably like 15 minutes long. About
the last part.
Fighting.
And it's 10 minutes. It's like the last 15 for the whole, like, theatrics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like it a lot. I think, like, again, it's simple. And it's the same thing with the training montage in this film, too. It's simple. It's nothing over, the top. It's, and the fight is good. We get to see, Creed toying around, fucking around until he finds out, after Rocky hits him with an uppercut and knocks him down first, that he is going to be in for a fight, which Apollo's trainer mentions, like, when they show Rocky, punching the beef at the meat, plant for, the news. He's like, "Hey, champ, you might want to watch this guy," and he's like, "Yeah, no, because you can see, he's like, he might, he ain't fucking around. But the fight's well done, it's doesn't need to be simple's better. It doesn't need to be like over the top, so.
Yeah, I think they do, a pretty good job of showcasing it with the, and you could tell the choreography is not, like you said, it's fairly simple. It's not, crazy, well choreographed. Especially at the beginning of the film, you can see in that opening fight, some of the hits don't land. But I think, like, again, they did a pretty good job with it for what they had in the choreography that they could do. And I think one of the biggest things about the fight is that it does showcase the grotesqueness, the gratuity that sometimes accompanies a fight, the violence that you could have with it. Especially with all of the shots of their bruised eyes and like everything is basically, especially on both of them. You can see it really on Rocky because they do some close-ups and they cut his eye, but you can see it on Apollo as well. The deformity.
Got an internal bleed. He's got internal bleed.
Yeah, they talk about that too. They're like, oh, he's coughing up blood over there. It's like just casually, busted some ribs.
Which I haven't really watched boxing since the early 2000s. I don't know if they would let you do that anymore. I don't know.
Like just continue if you're just
the fight. Yeah, no. If you're like coughing up blood, no, they'd probably call it a match.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know about that.
Like, I know, like, at least, like, I don't watch UFC. I don't give a shit about MMA. But I know, like, as soon as they got you, like, in a chokehold, you're not, like, it's not like in wrestling, they're holding it for 20 minutes. It's like, once they know, like, they got you, it's called. So I imagine, but you can just, also, too, you can see, like, because at the end, too, like, Rocky's got the white trunks, and you can see, like, the sweat and blood. Like, you can practically see through his trunks because of the sweat,
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool, too, and I think it's nice because, again, he doesn't win. I like that. Like, it's not like, but it's still uplifting because, again, he did what he wanted to do. He was able to go the distance.
Mm-hmm.
He proved to himself that he proved to himself that he could do it.
Yeah. Do you think is that disappointing as a viewer that you see he doesn't actually win the fight or
no, because I don't think I think it'd be too schmaltzy and cheesy. Again, it's an underdog story. The fact that he even went 15 rounds with Apollo and had to win on a judge decision.
Mm-hmm.
Which if you watch like the film, the fights and stuff, like from the film itself, like Apollo won the fight. He was connecting with better shots, and stuff. The only way Rocky was going to win if he was able to get like a knockout at the end, which came close, but he didn't. So, I mean, again, world champion, went the distance. No one's ever gone 15 rounds with Apollo. That's a hell of a win. And we get to see, too, as he's calling out for Adrian, like, that's all he wants,
Yeah,
it's
what you can, all you can really ask for, especially, considering the fact that he's not, I mean, he had training at the end there, but not really, classically trained or anything like that. I think it's, I think that's what you
they were saying they remark about that a lot too. Like, like as they're coming down for the fight, they're like, the ring announcers are like, some would say it's a caveman versus the Chevalier, because of the, and Mick, Burgess Meredith points it out a lot. Like, fight like a goddamn ape, because just starting there.
I mean, when you train on, sides of meat and run around with bricks in your hand, it's going to be a caveman style fight, I think. But yeah, it's great. I think that kind of lends itself to that idea of like the working man winning, putting in the effort. That is very important to Rocky as a whole for the theme. Is the fact that he's a dude basically going around doing working man stuff, carrying bricks at a construction site or, what
Chaz Palminteri's Sonny would say in The Bronx Tale?
What's that?
The working man's a sucker.
There you go. Well, that's what Sylvester Stallone is saying in 2025 as well. Considering his
which you guys we do have to do a Bronx Tale one of these days. It's
sure, yeah, eventually, yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's just great. And again, haven't mentioned him that much. Burgess Meredith as Mickey is great.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So charismatic. So just loud. And like, I always like to say to myself, like, you're gonna need lightning and clap thunder, rock. Like, it's just, great. And, we see the relationship, that he has with Rocky is he doesn't think much of Rocky.
Yeah. Until
do you think
he gets the payday?
Yeah. Do you think? So I was gonna say, do you think Mickey's concern is out of actual care and thinking that Rocky can be somebody, and that he feels bad that he didn't help him, or that he saw the payday? Because when he comes up there and he's talking to him, he's like, you need a manager. Like, all this knowledge I have, you need a man. He keeps just saying it over, like, manager.
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, I definitely think there is some element of, good-naturedness to it, that he's attempting to give him some guidance, because he even says that earlier before this all occurs in the gym, when basically Rocky's like, why'd you give my locker away? Basically, that's what pissed him off the most. And he basically says, it's because you you could have been a good fighter, but you didn't put in the heart into it. And you went and, joined a loan shark to do that part-time. And so I think there is a semblance of that where he sees that, he actually could be a good fighter, but I think he also sees a payday. I think he sees that he's a good fighter that could further his career by getting that payday, So I think there's like a twofold element to it, especially later on too, where he still doesn't really seem like he's that much of a mentoring figure. He's working him, but it's not necessarily like I don't know.
Well, by that part, it's like, Act 3, we got to wrap it up.
Sure, yeah, that too. Yeah, because
which again, because
late in the movie by the time that happens. Yeah.
But I mean, again, the film's not about the sport and the fight. It's a character study and stuff. So, but I mean, like. But no, I think it is like definitely both, because again, like, it seems like he realizes, like, holy shit, there's some money to be had, but as he's going there, you can see, like, he's lamenting, like, 'cause after Rocky says, like, where the hell were you 10 years, you don't come to my apartment, he's like,
he kind of sees that.
He sees, he's like, God, I'm 73 years old. Like, he realizes, like, he doesn't have, like, he didn't make it either. He couldn't, all he became was a, boxing trainer.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a little bit of both, but some of the money too doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt. I mean,
brother Billy's in the background. There will come a payday. Hallelujah! What a payday.
How do you think the movie does with setting up Creed?
Apollo?
Yeah.
He's great. He's charismatic. He's not unlikable. He's charismatic. He's got the quips like he's Muhammad Ali. He's got the shuck and jive like Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. 2 is where you get to start to see, him be, because the whole reason for the rematch is after the fight, even though they said in this film,
rematch.
We're not no rematch, because he won on a split decision. The reason why he wants to have the fight is because everyone says, I won the fight, but I didn't beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to see him be more of an asshole because he's, trying to get, trigger Stallone into, Rocky into wanting to have a rematch, so is more, bitchy.
Yeah.
But
I want to see a little bit more from him as a character, because I feel like we don't get to see too much.
I think that's fine though for this, because again, we don't need to know about Creed, because we know he's the heavyweight champion. He wants to put on a show for the bicentennial. He's a showman. He's a carny. I think it would be if you made it like a 3-hour film like The Godfather, you could, but like for a 2-hour film, I think that'd be asking a little too much, because the film is,
already 2 hours. Yeah.
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 So
I just thought, I think Carl Weathers does a great job. Especially later on in the movie where there's a, sort of WWE style entry that he has to the ring where he comes out and he's first George Washington and then ditches that and then he becomes Uncle Sam. And and the commentators too are forced to like explain it to the audience like, oh, it looks like he's George Washington. If you didn't know that, George Washington, first president of the United States, like
father of the country.
Yeah.
Well, the one reference that I think would go, especially today, would go by a lot of people. He's like, oh, he's throwing dollars like George Washington. I kind of have to think about that one. Like George Washington throwing a fucking dollar. But I love the him dressed up like Uncle Sam. Like, I want you. And they're like, that's right. Uncle Sam, the World War I posters where he was asking you, he wanted you to be in the military. Again, I love the Carney aspect of it. It's putting on a show, making it fun. And the fact that he's doing that too just shows also like how full of himself, and how much he thinks he's gonna win. Because even at the start of the fight, he's like Creed in three, And as he's doing all that, they go to like Rocky and Mick, and he's like, I don't know how much he spends on his haircut,
Yeah.
So it's like it's like it's funny and great, but like God, if I was like a fighter and like if I was like in UFC or boxing and someone came up like we're about to have a fight and some asshole's going up and do it, I would like I'd be seeing like blood red, like you look like
Yeah.
You just got to make sure you don't get embarrassed. Otherwise, you do get clowned on,
There you go.
But,
all right. So we got to give Rocky a rating.
Hold on.
Oh, what do you got?
Hold on. We're not done yet. We didn't talk about something very important. The Bill Conti score.
Well, it's used very sporadically. It's not something that is prevalent through much of the film. The film uses a lot of diegetic sound, a lot of like sound from the radio. Only now and then does it actually have a score set behind it, which I think is actually really good for this movie. It sets the realism to it as well, especially, as he's walking around the city, you don't really expect to hear like, score chords behind him. So I think it works really well for the movie to not use that too often. And then when it does, as in, the montage of running, his training regimen or the finale of the movie, I think that you get a much more triumphant element to it because it has been used so sparingly. It works to the film's advantage. And it's a really, it's like a very uplifting score. It's, triumphant. It's great. There's a reason why it became the staple point of, and they had to shove anything like this.
As I say, and then in the sequels, they had to shove in music montages everywhere.
Sure.
I love it because anytime there is, part of the score actually playing, it's just such a great mix of like disco, funk, rock. It gets you pumped up, like, you can't hear You're Gonna Fly Now and not like, feel you want to run like run through a wall for somebody, like, that I love the vocals too because they're so stupid but funny, like trying hard now, so hard
Yeah. The vocals are sort of like an afterthought. It's
I know,
add,
but it's funny, for that. I like the score a lot.
Yes, it's great. It's great. Anything else we didn't talk about?
What's your opinion on taking mentally slow people to the zoo for first date?
I don't know. I haven't really experienced whether that's effective or not. So, but it's a good point of reference for anybody like that. I don't know.
It's so stupid, but it makes me laugh every fucking time just because it's so like Just imagine, like, did that happen to like Sylvester Stallone? Like one time, like somebody's like, "Hey, yo, well, you got a date with a girl? Yeah, I got a date. You know where you should take that dumb broad? Take to the zoo. Wow, hey, don't go there. You know, whoa.
I mean,
Could be John Travolta there. Whoa, you know, in Greece.
Yeah. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, it is funny. But all right. So on a scale of 0 to 10, surly ice rink attendants who keep telling you how much longer you have on the ice, what would you give Rocky?
I also like to that he was asking Adrian, like, yo, you want to go down to the Spectrum, watch the basketball game? You know, it's the 70s. It's not like NBA tickets are expensive. You know, it's $2 if you want to go. You know, have a good time. You know, watch some basketball. I'll give Rocky a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay, wow.
I love the movie. It's just great. Like there's a good damn reason why it's, you know, so popular, so prevalent, you know, so important to cultural zeitgeist. It's just, you know, it's cliche for us to say, at least for us, me, and sometimes you just say in the podcast, it's just something that the 70s could capture so well instead of that any other era couldn't. The level of, like, you know, storytelling, direction, acting, like everything just hits. And, you know, it's a perfect little story. It's you know, makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, you know, about the, you know, working man getting, you know, his ass beat and, you know, knocked down, life being miserable for everybody, but, you know, there being a silver lining at the end of it. You know, like Talia Shire, Sylvester Stallone, Burgess Meredith, Carl, they're all fucking great. Put in great jobs. It's like I said, I love it. It's just it's not like, if you're not a big sports film fan, I'd say, like, as you said, it's not like a sports film. The boxing is there as a MacGuffin, basically, to move the story forward, and give it purpose. But I like it a lot. 9.5 out of 10. I would recommend it to anybody.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really fun movie. I think it does a good job with the character study and the development of Rocky as a person. You know, again, it's not something that you're really expecting when you think about it. I think, you know, especially if you haven't seen it, you just know from the culture, you're like, oh, it's a boxing movie. It's not really a boxing. It's more like a movie about a character who does boxing. And I think that that's actually to the film's benefit. I think that it, you know, not focusing solely on boxing and, you know, having multiple fights throughout, really gives it a nice study of the character and the characters around him. The themes of, you know, being working man, the themes of opportunity in you know, the United States, and the hard work and dedication that it takes to become a boxer, is all works really well for this movie. And it's written pretty well with the nice, like, realistic, gritty dialogue and the cityscape. I think all works to the film's advantage, especially considering it has that sort of 1970s gritty, you know, just city element to it that you kind of expect from a movie of this style. And the low budget too really helps in that regard. I think setting it in that realism of, you know, feeling like you're really in the city life. I think that all works to the movie's advantage. So again, I think it's really good. I think occasionally the movie does run a little bit long on dialogue. Couple times they could have cut a few scenes to just kind of like abbreviate some of the dialogue. Maybe a little bit of excess there. I do think that that's probably the only real pointed thing that I would, you know, point out about the issues with the movie. Otherwise, I think the 2-hour runtime is, you know, perfectly acceptable. There's no real issues with it. And again, like I said, the movie, you know, while it has a couple of choreography gaffes, I think for the most part, the low budget doesn't really affect that, and it works really well, especially the finale, which has a great fight scene. So yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10 after this being my first encounter and experience with Rocky and the franchise as a whole. So yeah. And we didn't even talk about it, but yeah, the New Year's Day tie-in. What are you doing for New Year's?
I don't know. What are we doing?
Anything fun?
Well, if we're not getting hit by another ice storm, who knows?
Yeah, it's not like a hugely celebrated, I think, at this point anymore. Like, I don't go out on it or anything like that anymore. But
we're too old.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
like the whole. I don't stay up. Well, I do every now and then, but like I don't usually stay up late enough to watch the ball drop. I don't care. Like I don't care. That means nothing to me.
Mm-hmm. You want to see all the contemporary artists play in Times Square that you don't know.
Yeah,
that always happens to me because I watch it because of my sister, and we turn it on. And I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who that is. And I do that until the ball drops. That's normally what I end up doing on New Year's Eve.
I go to a bar and go. Happy New Year, Lieutenant. Oh, that was one thing I forgot to mention. One of the great, funny fucking lines in the film. Hey, they go, hey, what the fuck you got in the back of your robe? Something meats? Yeah, it's meat bank, Why the hell would you do that? Well, Bali gets $3,000 and,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, okay, then you see Paulie like, hey, look who it is. I got a friend. She costs $200, $250.
Yeah, that's great.
That was one of those escorts, a companion for the night.
There you go.
Yeah. But
all right, so that's our New Year's episode. I hope you have a happy New Year. We'll catch you everyone back in 2026, obviously. Actually, when am I going to release this episode? Probably tomorrow. That way it's just in time for New Year. So we'll see everyone back in 2026. I'm sure we have a lot of movies planned. It's going to be probably we're going to take a week off and then come back and
regroup and
yep,
be like, exactly. What's the plan for this year?
That's right.
I'm pretty sure we're doing Melania first. So.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. A lovely movie. I'm sure that's going to be.
I was, I saw like the trailer for it. And it starts off like, well, here we go again. And I was like, really? You got to rip off CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas?
Yeah.
That's the opening to San Andreas. Oh, here we go again.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah. Trump's a big San Andreas fan.
So, yeah, come back in 2026, and I'm sure we'll be doing some more movies, so stay tuned for that. If you like what you heard or you want to follow along with us, subscribe on pretty much any podcast app you can think of. We're on Apple Podcasts, our home base is Spotify, whatever you use, I'm sure we're on it. So subscribe, leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. Search for us there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. And we have an email address where you can write to us at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. Just let us know what you want us to cover, and we'll take that into consideration. And you can donate to us on our Patreon page. Anything you donate goes back towards our beer. So thanks in advance for that. Thanks for listening to our episode on Rocky. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a happy New Year. Again, we'll see you in 2026. And until then,
take care.